Disclaimer, sorry. Please do not attempt to contact anybody I talk about in this video, anybody that might come up. Please be advised that this is just commentary and opinion, no facts. This is not news. This is not journalism. Viewer discretion advised. Trigger warning may contain some graphic and disturbing details relating to the crimes against children and humanity. Okay, with all that said, let's continue. Let's talk about this whole situation with Nancy Guthrie. And I mentioned it briefly in my last video, but the more time goes by, the more pissed off I get about this whole situation. And I'm going to tell you why. I feel for the Guthries. I hope they find her. I pray they find her. And if anybody has any information on where this poor woman might be, I really hope that you do turn this information over to the proper people. With all that said, this has been a week straight. This has been a week straight. I don't know who these people are. Never seen these people. Never watched the Today Show. This woman was never even on the Today Show. Her daughter was a co-anchor of the Today Show. And the whole world is in an uproar and in a panic because of this one woman's missing mother. Now, there's needless to say, there are things going on in this situation that none of us know about. I am willing to bet that there's more to this story than just a missing mother. But this is what really irks me about it is for a little bit over a year now, me and a select few others on the internet have been in an uproar about the amount of missing children that we currently have in the United States. And until it's proven otherwise, these numbers have not changed. There has been 500,000 missing children in this country alone. And most of those children aren't even from this country. They're migrant children missing in the United States. 400,000 missing. Now, Kash Patel has come out like every other month and have said, we found 10,000 children. We found 60,000 children. He'll mention it briefly, won't give any details, won't provide any proof that he's actually found any of these kids. And same with all the other members of the Trump administration. Like, ever since he won the election, they have not brought it up at one time. They like to bring it up a lot when they were campaigning on the campaign trail and stuff, but once they got elected, it was a little detail they hoped all of us would forget and stop talking about. And for those of you who have followed my channel at all, you know that like this whole channel got started during my awakening about a year ago when I first watched Allie Carter try to tell everybody what was going on behind the scene. And it was like something, hit me. It was like a ton of bricks. It was like I just knew. I know she was telling the truth. I can't explain how I know because they're just I can't explain how I know. But I know that she was telling the truth. Just like a lot of you out there who listen to her speak, just like a lot of you know she's telling the truth. Even though you can't explain why you know that. You just know she is telling the truth. So for the last year, I've been on YouTube trying to bring up anything I can to bring the attention on these missing children, on the exploited children, on these crimes against humanity committed by our government. And it's funny because like I didn't even mean to go into any of all that other stuff. It's just that like our government keeps coming up in relation to these missing children and in relation to child trafficking. So it's just naturally topics we discuss a lot. And this whole last week, for a solid week straight, we have seen this woman's face on the news. And good for her. You know what I mean? I hope she knows wherever she's at that even though she's in dire situation, even though that she's kidnapped or whatever's going on with her, I hope she understands how privileged her family is, that they are able to compel all these mainstream media organizations to talk about this missing 80-year-old woman for a week straight. Non-stop. They have talked about this. Harris Faulkner, on the other hand, on Fox News, has one extremely viral segment where she talks about the missing children about a year ago. Extremely viral. And then they shut it down, never to be discussed again. Because don't you see, those missing children just aren't important. Those missing children don't have relatives that work for the Today Show or work for any of the mainstream media. So, just tough luck for them. So that's what's bothering me. It's been bothering me a lot. And I never asked to learn about this story. And this might sound really cold. Because, I really hope they do find this woman. I have nothing against this woman. I have nothing against the Guthries in general. I have nothing against them. And I really hope they find her. I'm just absolutely disgusted that there are millions of parents out there who are looking for their missing children, who would give anything for these news media's organizations to even spend a moment talking about their missing child, to even spend a moment talking about it. The Amy Bradley's family, it took them 30 years to get to get people to pay attention to their missing family member. So why is it that only certain people can share with the world about their missing family members? Only certain people can. I've even heard one article say that they've got FBI agents around the clock working on this one particular case. And you've got all these missing children, and it's just disgusting. Oh my God, I'm so sick of it. Isn't anyone else fucking sick of it? Anybody? Is anybody out there so sick of the news and our government treating everything under the sun like it's more important than our kids? Everything. Oh my God, can we ever? It's fine. Okay, we'll go along with it all. Fine, we'll talk about the LGBTQ community. We'll talk about abortion. We'll talk about capital punishment. All right, fine. Yes, we've talked about it. Can we ever get to these missing children? Ever? No, first we got to talk about this missing 80-year-old woman before we even talk about them. You know what I mean? Because even though this woman's reaching the end of her life, fuck all these children. Fuck them. You know what I mean? Wherever they are, they're just going to have to deal with it. They're just going to have to manage. Wherever their families are, they're just going to have to deal with it. They're just going to have to manage. But God forbid, Nancy fucking Guthrie is missing. It's frustrating. It is so goddamn frustrating when every single day more and more children go missing, even still. And we just act like the world just swallows them up, never to be seen again. Except for when it comes to Nancy Guthrie. Except for when it comes to the Guthrie family. I don't know what their bloodline is, but they must have been descended from Nimrod too. Because, it just, for this to matter so much more than everything else. I don't give a shit if people call me cold. I think you all are cold. I think you all are cold and crazy for worrying so goddamn much about this woman and won't even spend a moment to talk about vulnerable missing children who cannot advocate for themselves, who cannot defend themselves, who don't have people to look for them. I'm just, ugh. No, let's worry about this, and also, worry about who's performing at the Super Bowl and who's competing with the halftime performance and all this other stuff, all this other stupid shit that doesn't matter. Who gives a fuck about Bad Bunny or Turning Point USA? And I'm sorry to say, Nancy Guthrie. Who gives a fuck about any of this? It's all just a big distraction because they are literally, they're still trying to convince everybody that everything in the world is so important, so much more important than the exploitation of the children in this world. Because to be honest, that's really what it all comes down to. All roads lead back to child trafficking. All roads lead to covering up the child trafficking, because at the end of the day, that always has been the only story that truly matters. That is our future being exploited, being tarnished, being harmed. How can we ever expect humanity to grow and evolve beyond the wars and the primitive mindsets if we can't agree that the children are our future and that the children should be the most important thing to protect in this world. Above everything, above everything, above our politicians, above everything. They are what's the most important. Wake up, Earth. Wake up. Everything is literally just a distraction to keep your focus away from these pedophiles. Like, why do you think... we just had our heads, like, just in a grinder for so long that it really is, it has become just... It's like, I have this realization that this has always been the story, the only story that actually matters. To come to that realization, I don't know, maybe people just aren't ready for it yet, because it's like, I don't know, maybe, and I'm trying to have grace and patience, because I wasn't always on board either. I remember a little over a year ago, I was right along with everybody else, you know, focusing on every other thing that didn't matter, that had no real significance. And then, you know, I'm scrolling through YouTube one day, and then I find Allie Carter. It was when she was talking about she had been sold to Russia. Now, I know there's a whole lot of stuff going on online about that, where people said that it was debunked, but it wasn't, because she never said she went to Russia. She said she was trafficked to Russia, but never made it to Russia. But that's beside the point. I come across this video of Allie Carter talking about how she had been sold to Russians, and talking about this woman who wasn't even her biological mom come and save her from it. And I don't know, just something clicked in my head. I just knew this girl was telling the truth. I just knew she was telling the truth. And that, I don't know, it was like until I saw that video, I was in this fog. And then suddenly, all she had to do was discuss how these children are being harmed on a global scale. And something just snapped in my head. And I'm just like, oh my God, this has been the only thing that's mattered. This is the only thing that's ever mattered. This is the thing that all these distractions are meant to hide. This is it. This is it. I just knew. I don't know. It's just a moment of awareness. I can't explain it. Like I just said, can't explain it. And anyone who's come to the same awareness probably can't explain it either. And then I really snapped when I go around to my own family and start discussing this, and then they act like it doesn't matter that much, as long as it's not happening to children in our family, right? As long as it's not happening to children in our family, it doesn't matter. And I refuse. I refuse to wait for something to happen to one of the kids in my own family to say something about it. I absolutely refuse. And to be honest, that was probably the most traumatizing thing about this whole awakening, is seeing that not everybody is ready to wake up from this yet. And I can understand it. I mean, it's not a truth that you want to be true. I mean, it's not like we want this all to be real and to be true. That's why I don't understand why people act that way. Like, as if all of us conspiracy theorists want the world to be this way. Like stop. Now, with all that said, like I said, I do hope they find this woman. I hope they find her safely and unharmed. And I really, truly do. I wouldn't wish this on anybody. I wouldn't even wish this on the elites, the Satanist elites. I don't wish this on anybody. And nobody should. And we can't stop. We got to keep going. We can't shut up until these missing children are found. Till people are awake to what is going on to these children. And now that we have it in writing from our own government via the Epstein files, now that there literally is no excuse, What are you going to decide to do now? Now that you know, now that you have confirmation that these elite, powerful men, what they get up to with our children, because you know that they take children from the poorest places to do this to. Now that you know that this is a real thing, that this is happening on a global scale, are you going to keep gaslighting people like me? Like others on YouTube talking about this? Are you just going to not say nothing? Just going to not say nothing. Act like it doesn't affect you until it does. And this is something else that's tripped me out about people who like make these deals and like sell their souls. It's like, they do this for a very short amount of time, because that the moment that they cannot be used anymore, they'll be tossed out and thrown away and killed. Like, I don't know, like people like Jimi Hendrix, Janis Joplin. I'm not saying that they ever were a part of any of this. In fact, I'm saying the opposite. I'm saying, it probably cost them their lives. Now that we all know what we know, here's my question to you. Are you going to sit there and act? Are you going to sit there and act like that these missing and exploited children in our country right now don't exist? Act like they don't matter? Act like they weren't real? I think that's what the tactic people are trying to use now. People are literally moving and carrying on as if those children never even existed. It's wild to me. And it brings me no pleasure to say, I don't think we'll ever get closure on the 400,000 missing children. I don't think we will. And it brings me no pleasure to say that. But to any of them out there that have survived and are still out there, I won't stop fighting for you. I won't stop fighting for you, because you matter. You matter just as much as this Nancy Guthrie woman. You all matter. Every single one of you who were betrayed and kidnapped by the United States government or any other government or person, you matter. And I'll never stop fighting. I'll never stop fighting for you all. And maybe when this whole Nancy Guthrie story does get to some kind of closure, maybe then we'll finally start talking about all these missing children. Fox News, CNN, ABC, CBS, all of y'all. Will you start talking about it then? Will you start talking about it then?